but decided to correct what made him angry. So if truly you can correct in life what makes you angry, then you can make a fortune out of it, and generations are going to benefit. We didn't live in 1910, but we are partakers of what was developed in 1910. So kindly, from what we have shared, if you can have the same energy and using your different platforms and authority, being a business school that is globally renowned. I did a tour with a lady from Philippines. Her husband is in Strathmore University. Yeah?
The husband?
Yeah, he has braces.
Oh, the husband works for Strathmore.
No, he's in Strathmore for his master's. I believe he came in for...
Okay. He's from Philippines.
Okay, amazing.
We thought so with the husband.
I'm not the one, but...
I was also looking for him because I thought he was part of the team. So we are going to stand here. This is where we're going to do the harvesting. Yeah? But before we do the harvesting, two things make a good cup of coffee. Density of the cherry during harvesting and size of the bean during grading. Yeah? So when we harvest, we introduce all the cherries into water. So we determine the density by doing water density separation. The good quality is going to sink, the low quality is going to float. And because coffee production is very labor intensive and financial intensive, nothing goes to waste. That one which floats is what is processed to be shipped either as premium grade of coffee or specialty grade of coffee. The one that floats, instant coffee, commercial coffee.
What are you saying? My latte.
Wait.
It's a cheap option.
Wait. Okay. Wait. I didn't say latte because latte, cappuccino, frappuccino, the mocha, all those are types of extracting coffee, caffeine from, it can be premium or
Floater.
yeah.
You are in the right track, but you just lost that opportunity.
Yeah.
You were going right.
Yeah. So how do you know that you're drinking premium? When the prices, but not always the prices, the cup quality. So today when you get the opportunity to test the good quality, you will know. The next day you are served with coffee, you will know if it is instant. Yeah? So, two things.
Next thing is you're going to buy those big machines.
Two things make a good cup of coffee. Density of the cherry during harvesting. How do we determine the density? We do water density separation. We introduce the cherry into water. The good quality have good dense will sink. The low quality will float. Because nothing goes to waste, the good quality, premium, specialty, the low quality, instant commercial coffee. Yeah? The size, the size of the bean is going to be determined when they're going to be passed through different screens of different hole diameter from 22 to 12. So how we get the Kenyan A, B, P, B, C, and E, all of them have different diameters from 22 to 12. Kenya is known for the Kenyan A, and we're going to see it when you get to the coffee lab. It will fall under the 18 millimeter diameter. Yeah? So if you are outside Kenya, you know that you are drinking single origin from Kenya when you say written double AA in cups. If you want to know it is single origin from Colombia, there's always a man and his donkey besides him. If you want to know that you are drinking single origin from Jamaica, the Blue Mountains. Brazil, I'm here to study about Brazil, but I'm going to tell you part of why Brazil became the largest producer of coffee in the world. But right now, Uganda, I think it's the mountain. The mountain too. Okay. Okay. And Ethiopia? Ethiopia. Ethiopia, there's a name called Kaldi. Yeah? So coffee, do you know that the 2 coffee species were discovered in Africa?
Brought by the British.
Imagine. Saddest part. 1, coffee was first discovered in Ethiopia. A man called Kaldi.
But there were people living there.
It was him. He was an Ethiopian.
Oh.
Yeah. It is not like Lake Victoria, named after Queen Victoria, because it was him. No.
By the locals.
So it is a local man called Kaldi. First, it was his goats, because in the 5th century, coffee was not being cultivated. It was a bush like this. So one time, Kaldi opened for his goats to go and graze. And they went to that bush, and they noticed how lush the trees were, and how they had the red wine cherries. So the cherries attracted the goats. So the goats decided to experiment. Yeah? They ate from the leaves and they ate from the cherries. And because the leaves also have some contents of caffeine, they became super hyper.
Yeah. Excited.
Bleating all night, excited, jumping all night.
Oh, yes.
So the whole night, Kaldi was not sleeping because he was like, the goats were crazy. Yeah? So the next morning, he wanted to go and investigate who was making his goats excited. But now, because the goats had become loyal customers, just like most of us are loyal customers to Java, introduced to us by 2 Americans, the first Java at Adams. So every morning you want to do a Java coffee. Yeah? So when he opened the doors for them, the goats ran toward that direction. Kaldi followed the goats, and when he came, he noticed the red wine cherries. When you take a cherry, which I'm going to give you the opportunity to do, when you remove the outer skin called a pulp, there is a sweet caramel fluid called mucilage. In a layman's language, coffee sugars. Yeah? When he tested it, he was hit by that caramel note. And he tested a lot of them. Yeah?
Became a
Yeah? Yeah? And because that fluid also has caffeine, the man became super excited. And a study was done in Harvard University in 2011 that says people that take coffee tend not to be depressed. When you take espresso, no depression. Yeah? Yeah? The only difference, he wasn't bleating. So one of his friends noticed Kaldi was behaving different. As a good friend, you'll want to know why is your friend behaving different. So he followed Kaldi. When he got to that bush, he decided not to test because he didn't want to behave like his friend. So he harvested, went to the Monsari, crushed the cherries, introduced the concoction into the Monsari, and all of them made a disclaimer. This one must be a drink from the Lord. Why? They noticed they were praying for long. Yeah? Okay. And because Ethiopia being an empire, soon word reached the empire about that mysterious bush. That is when they came and did a mass harvesting, and coffee was taken from Africa to the Ottoman Empire. Being amongst the oldest civilizations in the world, that is where further studies used to be taken. So Yemen being in the Arabian Gulf, it was branded coffee Arabica. So that is where majority of the studies were done, including coffee roasting began in Yemen. Yeah? So when the Yemenis discovered caffeine, they passed a bill and they made it illegal for coffee to leave Yemen. But in the 15th century, an Indian man called Baba Budan went into Mecca and smuggled 7 coffee beans, went and planted them in India. So it was all about smuggling, or if you had affiliation with the Ottoman Empire, that was the only way you could get coffee beans. So when coffee was first introduced into the global market, it was only for the rich because it was scarce. Yet, so you can imagine, it was discovered in Ethiopia 5th century. Kenya came to know about coffee 18th century from outsiders. And yet Ethiopia are just our neighbors. 10th century gap. Why? We didn't have knowledge about coffee. Yeah? So all the globe, like Germany, they came to know about coffee from the Ottoman Empire. Have you heard of Boston Tea Party? Yeah. Part of the reason why the Americans ditched the tea because of the high taxes. But they didn't embrace coffee. Coffee was first introduced into the US in 1607 by an American captain called John Smith, the one that established the state of Virginia. But they only came to embrace coffee during the Great Depression 1929, when it was mandatory for every American to be given a free cup of coffee and some donuts. Then later, in 1941, when coffee was being called the drink of war, it was used to make soldiers awake to fight the battles. So right now, I'm going to give you the opportunity to harvest at least 5 red wine cherries. And none of us is colorblind, yeah? Red wine cherries. We are going to use 2 to test for the sugars. 3, we are going to do the water density separation when we get back to the factory. Because from here, we are heading back to the factory.
Before we do that,
yes, sir?
they
Yes, ma'am.
have the pesticides.
Pesticides? Okay, being...
Are they safe?
Yes, they are. Okay, she's asking a question, yeah?
Guys,
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 listen.
Hello.
Guys.
She's asking a question if we have pesticides on the cherries and the berries, yeah? Being guided by the rainforest, they are the ones who tell us when to use and when not to use pesticides. During the harvest, we are not allowed to use pesticides.
So
We only do red copper, which is dug around the soils to mitigate leaf rust and coffee berry. So
they're
right
safe
now
for
they are
testing.
safe. Yes.
I've already tested.
Okay, so you can...
Maybe before the...
Yes, sir.
I was told that you pick,
Yeah?
don't drag.
Yes. Pick. Selective hand picking. You pick the red wine. Okay, let's say for instance, this one is the red wine. You just pick it. Not like this.
So, one of the things that used to kill the white, apparently when you drag it like
Yes,
so,
sir.
this one is, yes. No wonder Uganda is beating me. Just
You're ahead of the curve.
this. Red wine. Five. We're supposed to stop on 5. Because one is sick. Yeah, but you picked it. You find them eating this.
So they eat it? Just eating sugar. You have to do like 10.
This one, the red one, huh?
I don't know nowadays how they...
So I'll pick 5.
How much do you pay nowadays per day? 150. 150. You see, it doesn't change the sun.
And finally, this one.
one.
Okay, thank you.
Workers are widowed women, so that is only, I would say, income.
So I pick coffee.
I'm going to...
are we sure?
We're okay.
I like.
Where are yours? I print for you. Don't taste. I'm going to do the illustration. Now we're
But
going
they
to
told
do
you
it.
5.
This one.
Oh, you said 5.
You're allowed. Then turn your index finger like this. Then that one which I've picked for you, make sure the green part is on top. Let me, this one, it is the one visible. Then put it here. Yeah? So that the green part is on top. Yeah? Then open your other palm.
You already have.
Have a little bit curved. Let it be curved. Then press it slowly until you pop out the beans. Make sure they don't fall off. So have your palm curved. They should Sorry. Don't pick. If they fall, you can take another one and use. That's why I said at least we can use two, because I expected at least some of us are going to fall some.
want to waste it.
Yeah. Amazing.
Don't use a lot of energy.
Yeah, that way. Oh, you have three. Then you are.
I'm going to.
Ugandans are blessed. Okay. All of us have beans on our palm. Yes. Okay. So just pick and test for the sugars. Don't chew.
Sweet.
For those who are too.
Are they sweet?
Yes.
Can you throw this? You swallow. Yeah.
Wait. Don't throw.
Don't chew, Moses.
So you can spit the beans. Okay. Yeah. So that sweet caramel node is what is called mucilage. In layman's language, coffee sugars. So where do we take the outer skin? The outer skin comes back to the farm as compost manure. I believe I've answered one of the questions. Yeah. Then here, as my colleague said, we can also get low content caffeine, natural caffeine, from doing what is called cascara coffee. Cascara coffee comes from the pulp. You get the pulp, you dry, you grind, package as low content natural caffeine coffee. To replace decafs, I wouldn't recommend any one of us to do decafs. We have two methods of getting a decaffeinated coffee. We have the direct, where they use solvents, methyl chloride.
That's dangerous.
The same solvent used to remove nail polish, ladies, for your manicure and pedicure. The same solvent used to remove paints if you want to refurbish your house is the same solvent used to remove caffeine. Yeah. So here is the catch. If you take more than 10 cups of a decaf coffee, there is no difference between you and somebody who has taken the normal caffeinated coffee. Because people, when they hear decaf, psychology will tell you, I am no caffeine. So you take 20. There is no difference between you. So we are planning to do cascara to replace decafs. The other way is the water way, where you boil the beans, then reintroduce the solvent to regain some bit of caffeine. So truly, I wouldn't, personally, that is my opinion. I wouldn't recommend, because if they are using methyl chloride to remove nail polish, I will not go for it. But the ball is on you. You can choose. If you want to continue doing decafs, it is allowed. Yeah. So this pulp, currently, because we haven't started it, we are bringing it to the farm as compost manure. Then this yellow covering is the husk. So we have three methods of processing coffee. Kenyan is known for the washed process, where you get your cherry, you remove the outer skin called a pulp through a process called pulping. Then you wash, you ferment between 10 to 14 hours to get rid of the sweet caramel fluid. Then you dry to weaken the husk that covers the green bean. Then you do grading and you ship. That is the wash process. Get the cherry, remove the skin, ferment between 10 to 14 hours to remove the sugars, then dry. Then dehusk to get the bean. We have the natural process. You get the cherry and you dry it with the outer skin, with the coffee sugars. Later you do hulling to get your green bean. And one of our signature coffee is called honey coffee. Goes through the semi-washed process. You get the cherry, you only remove the pulp, but you dry it with the sugars. So when you roast that, it's going to have a floral fragrance. When you taste it, it's going to have caramel notes. And we have named our semi-washed processed coffee Kaldi City Roast. Why Kaldi? Kaldi is the man that discovered the coffee sugars.
Ethiopia.
So we did it in appreciation of him.
The Ethiopian.
Yes, the Ethiopian. Yes. Karibu sana.
So it's the caramel syrup. When you buy coffee, then with caramel syrup, this is what they do. How much that is?
The natural sugars. From the what we have tested is what they retain.
Like when you go to Art Cafe, you buy cafe latte, then you want a syrup. There's a syrup.
It is not. It is not this one. It's not this one. Yes.
That is
a different
from the
syrup.
factory.
Yes, from the factory. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So, any questions? You can dispose this. Yes, sir.
Kironga, sustainability that we didn't answer.
Oh, okay.
I had a word comment on that actually.